Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode of Geeks Watch. Today I want to talk about the classic film, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which the image of them is here. I couldn't find a screenshot that matched the Blu-ray that I had. Sorry. The 1967 film, romantic comedy, starring Sidney Poitier as John. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn as the Drayton parents, and actually Katharine Hepburn's niece as Joanna Drayton, playing her daughter. This film is about interracial marriage, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Joanna Drayton comes home from her vacation in Hawaii with a new man who her parents are not entirely they're not aware that is her fiance, and a man who is over 10 years older than her, who is a widower whose wife has died. He is a successful doctor, and he is also what her parents do not know, he is also black. And Joanna's parents brought her up to be open-minded, to not think about a person's race. She did not think her parents would have any problem with this. And her parents are not quite happy that her daughter has brought home a black man. When this is one of the earliest films to show interracial marriage in a positive light, which is unusual considering that when this film was being filmed, interracial marriage was illegal in 17 states. There were miscegenation laws forbidding the marriage of blacks and whites. I think it even included Asians and whites, maybe even Asians and blacks. Miscegenation was a law in at least 17 states in the United States when this was being made. So showing an interracial marriage in a positive light was highly unusual. The film basically centers around, the film basically takes place in the Drayton's home, mostly, almost 90% of it, maybe even more. Matt Drayton is a successful newspaper editor. His wife runs an art gallery. So, well-off liberal couple confronted with their biases smack in the face. Biases that they were not aware that they had. One of Mr. Drayton's objections is that he's aware of the troubles that his daughter will face as the wife of a black man. He's aware of the prejudice she will face out in the world, something he thinks she is ignorant of. That seems to be one of his major objections to it over the course of the film. John's parents are also invited to dinner at the house as a surprise. So the black parents aren't that happy, that are not aware that their 37-year-old son is engaged to a 23-year-old white girl. They're not happy with it either. I think this film is great because it does do that. It examines the prejudices that people who think they're open-minded have when they're confronted with something unexpected. It's one thing to intellectually say you're okay with something, regardless of what that something is, whether it's black people, Asian people, Latino people, people of other cultures, other races, people of other lifestyles. You could talk about prejudice against queer people, people of different, it's one thing to say you're okay when it's at a distance, when you can examine it intellectually. It's another thing when you're confronted with it smack in the face, when it actually impacts your life. And this film was released in 1967, shortly before Lovington versus Virginia overturned the miscegenation laws, saying they were unconstitutional. But This film came out before that, or was filmed before that. I think Lovington v. Virginia was overturned the same year this was released, but while it was being filmed, yeah, miscegenation was still very much illegal in a good chunk of the United States. This was also Spencer Tracy's final film. I don't know how many of you know anything about cinema history. Spencer Tracy was a cinematic icon. I watched, as a kid, watched a lot of films with him in it. He was a great actor. He was very, very ill. He died before the film was released, shortly after he was done filming. You know, he was in bad health. They made special accommodations for him to make sure that the filming didn't go too long. They had him on set as little as possible. They tried to keep the scenes he was filmed in shorter, but you wouldn't know it to look at the film. He was still very much a presence. You know, he was one of a, I could say he was one of a kind, but Hepburn and Tracy were in multiple films together. This was their final film together. Makes sense. It was Spencer Tracy's last film. Audrey Hepburn has said she had never actually sat down and watched the finished film because she said it was too painful for her. Her and Spencer Tracy had a very, very long friendship. There were some people who suggested it was more than a friendship. If that was the case, few people know except the two of them. They have both always maintained for their entire lives it was nothing more than a friendship. It's all speculation at this point. But I think this film is culturally significant. It's one of those films I think everyone should watch. It's a bit dated, I guess. I've thought, you know, if someone tried to make this film today, that old topic that people keep talking about, I'm not sure it would hit quite the same way because like I said, when this film was released, this was a big deal. It's less of a big deal now. I think if someone tried to make it today, they wouldn't do it justice. They'd, I don't know. It's possible. I could see a way to adapt it to make it fit a modern audience. I just think people would go to either they wouldn't be able to do it properly, or they would go the exact opposite direction. They would pander. But this is a great film. It has some funny moments. There's some really touching emotional moments too. Some moments that, you know, whether or not they made us as viewers think it gave the people within this film pause. It's something to think about. It had some deep thoughts for the characters involved. Whether that made us think deeply is another story. I was so glad to be able to, I've been looking for a copy of this for a while. I suppose I could have gone online and shopped for it. It's one of those things where I was running around Bull Moose, happened to see it sitting on the shelves. For those of you who do not know, Bull Moose is a local string of stores that deals in used merchandise. They sell used toys, mostly used music. That's how they got started. But they've expanded from just music to selling used films, used toys, used books, used video games. You never know what you're going to find on the shelves in a store like that. And I found a couple gems that I've been looking for a while. This was dirt cheap. It's used. So glad to find that. But yeah, definitely a great film, and you should watch it. As always, thanks for watching me. As always, if you like my crap, please, it's just crap. I will not promote myself. Stop asking me to. And until next time, good hunting.